Classroom principle number 3 is control. As always, time for a joke. Have you heard the rumor going around about butter? Never mind, I shouldn't spread it. In the greater sense of the word, control is your capacity to cause someone to do what you ask, regardless of consequences. And in this sense, it's a dirty word to many people. There has to be something wrong with controlling someone else. It's undemocratic, they think, coercive even. The intention to control another person seems especially reprehensible in a teacher, because teaching is to help people think for themselves. The actions of a teacher when they try to control a student evince clarity, purposefulness, resolve, and caring. If you can get students to do what you are delegated with helping them to achieve, you're doing your job, and you've also saved your consequences for when you need them most. Try to think of control with another definition. The capacity to cause someone to choose to do what you ask, regardless of consequences. You're selling a concept with control. You're selling your authority. You are selling the validity of your commands. It does not imply a lack of subjectivity in your students that will cause them to do what you ask. They still choose. Controlling merely involves asking in a way that makes them more likely to agree to do it. Behavioral economics shows us that no choices are entirely neutral, that all choices we make are transactions between two parties. When you ask a student to do something, you're exerting your control. Now, you may do this by looking someone in the eye and speaking firmly and clearly. Now, meekly looking down and using a pleading tone of voice does not exert control. But any way you ask is going to fall somewhere on the spectrum between the two. And it's important to note the way that you want to approach students. You need to strike a balance of firmness and fairness. You want to use control sparingly, and only when it helps in supporting the freedom that you want to offer your students. Let me give you an example of what I mean. I'm a dog owner, and I love taking my dog to the park. But I would not be able to do this if I could not control my dog. Once I take him off the leash, my dog has been trained to listen to my command. If I tell him to come, he must come, because it presents a danger to him and to other people if I'm unable to control him. Right? His response to my command is of the utmost importance, because it allows me to enjoy the other activities that are going on without having to worry about whether he's going to listen or not. The more control that I have over my dog, the more freedom my dog has to enjoy himself. And although my students are not animals, I like this analogy, because the more control that I am able to exert over my students, the more freedom that I have to allow them to do activities that they'll enjoy and things that are constructive instead of constrictive. Strong control is the result of understanding the power of language and relationships. When you ask your students to do something, you have to ask respectfully, firmly, and confidently, but also with civility and often kindly. This expresses our faith in students. You should not be using vague and judgmental commands. You shouldn't be saying things like, calm down. You should be using specific and useful commands. You might want to say something like, please return to your seat and begin writing in your journal.